guys, it's Steve from the Tech Buzz Gaming, and I've got a pretty cool video for you today. I know normally I don't do modding. That's just not something that I do. But you know, as Arcade 1UP, their quality control goes down. What are you going to do if the PCB goes bad in your machine? Well, the folks over at Buy Stuff Store has got you covered. So if something like that happens, or you just want to have more games, especially specialized games, on your Arcade 1UP cabinets, Buy Stuff Store's got you covered. In this video, I'm going to show you how to install the Buy Stuff Store Android box into your Star Wars sit-down or stand-up cabinet. In my case, it's a sit-down cabinet, to gain hundreds of driving and flying games, and of course the traditional Star Wars games, and even some Star Wars games that weren't available to you before. The other cool part of this, which is going to come in a later video, is the ability to link the two cabinets together over the network and even over the internet, play with your friends, and play against each other in your game room, which was fascinating for me, especially as somebody who has game night, and with the announcement of Fast and the Furious being able to do that, this made it even more compelling for me to mod this. So I'm going to walk you through it. You're going to see every little bit and piece, tips and techniques to how to get your system modded, well, with the least amount of trouble. So check it out. Let's go.
All right, guys, let's check out and see what the Buy Stuff Store has sent me. This is the H panel. They did a custom Jedi insignia on there. It'd be cool if they offered, you know, the dark side or the light side, but it's cool. We got that in there. And then we have the cutout. This is going to be for this amp, which we'll get to in a little bit. They also give you the gaming box. This is for Star Wars. And if you look, this is what comes inside of it. You're going to get your yoke connector 1.2. Now, I have the stock connector. I do not have the GRS, so this tutorial is going to be just strictly for the stock connector in the Star Wars, and I do have the sit-down cabinet. Here's your LVDS to HDMI converter. This is going to convert your monitor, your stock monitor, BOE from Arcade 1UP to be able to take the HDMI here. Your power will go in here, and your LVDS and power connector will go into there as well. Then you have this little power converter. This is also going to go from your arcade box, your game box, to the box, the chip right here. And then we've got a cable here. This will give power to the machine, the marquee, and a few other components as we get to it. Here's your USB power. That's also going to go into here. This is going to go from the Buy Stuff Android box to this to power it. And then you have a little bit of a rumble that's going to get attached to your steering column on the arcade. And then here is the game box. And as you can see, the game box has your HDMI, has some USBs. It also has your sound, your Ethernet, which we're going to show you, because the whole point of this is I already modded my Ridge Racer using the same method, and P-Dubs has a really good video on it, so I didn't bother doing a video on it. But we're going to show you this one because this gives you the ability to play networked. You can play with people online, or you can play against another cabinet that is also modded using the Buy Stuff Store, so it's really cool. They also included with the kit the TP link. It's already configured, so I'm just simply going to plug in the box to this via Ethernet. I have them on order. I don't have long enough Ethernet cables, but that'll be for another video. And then also they supplied a amplifier. This is going to get put into this panel, as I mentioned earlier, which keeps it clean. Up on top, the screws for it, and then you also have the power adapter for this. You also have some pedals. These are pedals that have been included because obviously the Star Wars doesn't have pedals. So they have a little cutout there that you can put underneath your panel. And we're going to see how this works, especially since I have the sit-down one. So I hope you guys enjoy this tutorial. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we are going to remove this Star Wars control panel so we can take a look. And so we're going to use the handy dandy screwdriver, but you won't have to sit and watch me do this. I will fast forward it. All right, next thing you want to do is you want to take off this cable. We're going to let that in. And now we have the control panel off. And let's move this so we can take a closer look at the control panel. All right, now that we've got the control panel upside down, there are 6 screws, 3 on each side. And right now, I know you guys are just watching me unscrew it, but fortunately, through the power of video editing, you're gonna see this in super fast motion, because if you can't take screws out, you shouldn't be doing this mod. Okay, so now you can see in here that we have a pretty basic setup here. So we have your encoder board, and then which we're going to be replacing, and then we also have the flight yoke. If you have glue on yours, what I've been doing is I've just been taking a Phillips screwdriver and just kind of scratching it to get it to break. You can take a hair dryer, you can take a heat gun, but honestly this works pretty good, and then it'll peel off. You'll see that here in a second. These JST connectors, we're gonna pop these off. Again, the best thing that I found, just rock them back and forth. They'll work themselves loose even if there's glue on them. You don't want to grab them by the wire, because if you grab them by the wire, you have a tendency, you know, things could come loose. You could break the Molex. You know, there's a lot of things that could happen to it. So you want to steer clear of that if you absolutely can. Like I said, sometimes what I do is just to break the glue, I just, you know, do that, and what it'll do is it'll loosen it up. These here are now loose, which big deal. We're not using it. We're going to get this out of here. All right. Now that we've done that, and I'm trying to position this so you guys can see it, because I have a headlamp on because I like to be able to see what I'm doing. There are 3 screws, this one, and this one. We're going to take these off. And again, you don't have to watch me do this, so we're going to put this in fast forward. Okay, so underneath it here, you can see here's where the power and the volume rockers and all that good stuff are here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the existing buy stuff store, or excuse me, the existing screw holes, and we're going to use them with the buy stuff store board, and we're going to screw that fast. Now, again, you guys won't see this in real time. You'll see it sped up. And before I do that, I would suggest, it's before tightening it down, I would suggest just putting the screws in, leaving them loose. I found this when I did the other mod, it worked better, because now I can position it, because the plastic is so cheap underneath it for the switches that if you tighten it down, you may not get them to line up. So what I did was got them all started, and then now I can tighten them down. And again, you don't want to go cranking daylights out of them. All you want to do is just snug it. Okay. All right. Now, on to the next part. All right, the next thing you want to do is you want to take off this zip tie here, which I did. I just took some clippers. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take this wire off of the potentiometer here. We don't need this, which could be a bugger because, of course, it's glued. But, you know, we just don't want it in there to confuse anybody or confuse anything while I'm doing this. Okay, now that we got this unplugged and everything here, what we want to do is we want to get the potentiometer out of here because we're not going to use that. So we're going to unscrew this here and we're going to get this up and out of the way. So we just have this here with your color codes. So we can move on to the next step and plug everything in. All right, next thing we want to make sure is we have the toggle and we have the power switch. So this is your power switch, and you can see right here it's labeled. I know you can't see it, but it's the one right after the 12 volt, which we're going to add in a little bit. We're going to add the power switch, and then right next to it, I'm going to kind of go under it, is where the toggle goes. And the toggle is going to be like, if it's like the Ridge Racer, it's going to be like your coin button. So those two are going to go right there. Next, we're going to add the access buttons, which I'm going to try to get this closer so you guys can see is going to be in this area here. Okay, so yoke X, this is going to plug into, this is right on the potentiometer here. We're going to plug that right into X. Make sure I have it going the right way so it doesn't, so it goes in. That's going to go right into here. There we go. Just make sure, you know, you push it down a little bit. All right, so this yellow one here, this is going to be yoke Y. We're going to plug that in right next to it, right where it says, well, it says yoke Y. So we have them in, and we just have 4 left to plug in. All right, so you'll notice you got some colors left. Obviously, if you understand how electricity works and understand how like black is kind of neutral, when you press a button, it works. When you let it go, it shuts it off, and that's what the black does. But you've got 4 colors left. You've got red. So if you look up here on your board, red is going to go with the red. Okay. Blue is going to go over here right next to the red for that one. Then you have green. It's going to go right above the red one. And then you have brown, or I guess gold is what they're aiming for. So you're going to go into the gold/orange Molex right there. So now all your wiring for the existing yoke is connected. Okay, so the next part we're going to do here is we are going to plug in the Android box, as you can see here, the master. So the first thing you want to do, I've done it already, where I pulled off all the red film so you guys didn't have to be bothered to watch that. And then what you're going to do is you're going to attach this. I'm just going to turn this camera here. You're going to attach it, I would say I'm going to go like right about here, okay? And that way I have access to all my ports on top. The next thing that we're going to be doing is we're going to take this, which is our power adapter, converter, whatever you want to call it. And what we're going to do is we are going to fasten this to where we can attach this and connect it here to the box. So I'm thinking I'm going to put it like right about here, and then this is gonna go down and plug in here. Then this is going to go into your board. So you got to be able to get power to it from your Android box. So now that we've got that connected, let's move on to the next step. All right, one of the next things that we were going to do is we have this. This is the attachment for the pedals. If you have a Thrustmaster or you ordered pedals from Buy Stuff Store, you're going to hook these into where it's marked pedals, right next to your toggle. Okay, so we have that, and that runs over to where my pedals are. The other thing you want to add, and I should mention, this plastic piece that we took off that covered it, we're not going to be using it. It's too small for the area of everything that's on here. But this is your power that you have here. You're going to have, your power for your marquee. You're going to have your power for the machine, and then you're going to have this one, which is going to go into your LVDS to HDMI converter. So you can always mark these. I know P-Dub suggested marking them. That's not a bad idea. But for this tutorial, I'm not really going to be marking them. I know I'm going in crazy. I guess that's not what I should do, but I'm going to do it a little bit the hard way. So I've got all three of these wires connected. We're just going to flop them up over the top. So we've got that connected to the board. All right, next thing I'm going to do is you have a small USB to USB-C adapter. This is going to plug into the board. There's only one place to plug it in. You're going to plug it into there, and then you're going to come over here and you're going to plug it into your Buy Stuff Store mod box. I just put it in like that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take the HDMI cable, okay, that also came with it, and we're going to run that up this way. We're going to run that down. This is going to go into your Android box, okay, very easy. So the cable's going to come up out the top, and finally, we're just about there. We have this. This is our motor to make this shake. So we're gonna position this in a place. I'm thinking it's gonna be probably around here. All right, so I grabbed the screws here, the rumble port. This is the best place that Buy Stuff Store suggests placing this. So like, I'm trying to center it up. I'm going to get my handy dandy drill. I know everybody freaks out when you do this stuff with Arcade 1-Up stuff. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn it flat if we can, so that way I can put some down pressure on here. And I'm just going to position this just like this, and I'm just going to screw it in. Now fortunately, they give you long enough screws that are not too long, but just right for this. So again, you still want to make sure that you're holding on to the bottom here, just and then just go nice and slow if you're going to use a drill. There you go, just like that. You've got your rumble, and then I'm going to tip this back down so you all can see, because now we've got it attached. You want to take your rumble cable, and it's marked here rumble right on the end, and we are going to put in that cable as well. There we go. So now rumble's in, and then we also have the 3.5 millimeter cable. Now it's very important, okay? If you haven't listened to anything I've said so far and you just kind of like, hey, I'm just going to do this myself, it's very important to know you cannot take the stock speakers and go right into this arcade computer here, or you're going to burn this up. So if you went with the audio interface attachment, you'll get one of these cables, and what you're going to do is, again, we're going to have all these cables run out the back. You're going to run it down and into the audio box, or the Android box, the game box. Make sure it's seated in there good. Okay, let's get this fastened into the cabinet, shall we? All right, so let's take a look at this. Now we're looking at the back of my cabinet. This one came with the LED lights, so we're going to remove these 3 screws to take this out, because we need to work on the LVDS and switch that out. 3 screws on the back. I don't know how yours is at home, but mine has 3 screws, and then the back plate lifts up and out. And for now, I'm going to disconnect the power so it drops out, so I can move this panel out of the way, and you will be greeted with at the top here, your marquee and your sound. So what we're going to do is, there's 2 screws in here to get this pop it off. So we're going to pop this off the back of the monitor, and obviously I gotta use a regular screwdriver because it's not working with the other one because it's too big of a bit. So we're going to pop that sucker off. Okay. If you guys have done anything with Arcade 1-Up, you know how easy this is. You just pop these off, and if you've ever replaced them, save the screws, because you never know if you're going to need this in the future. And the other thing here is you have this ground wire. You want to take this off. We're going to need it again, but it just makes life easier when you're messing with the LVDS on the cabinet. So just keep the screws handy, and then make mental note of which way things are facing in here. We'll pull that out. Sometimes what's easy is if you just push your thumb against it and slide it out, makes it easy. And the other thing is getting your finger in there to you want to wiggle that back and forth. That pops that out. And now you've got your encoder board that you can sell on eBay, save it for a backup, whatever you want to do. And now what we're going to do is we are going to attach the LVDS to HDMI converter. Now, what you want to pay attention to is this one here is on this 3D printed plastic. If you didn't get one with that, you need to make sure you put it on something. Otherwise, what's going to happen is you're going to fry your monitor, your board, all that good stuff. So what you want to make sure that you're doing is you're attaching this with the red side out. You want to make sure that when you plug this cable from the LVDS in, the red faces out. So you want it facing the tan Molex. So I know it's going to be hard for you guys to see that, but it is going to be missing a pin. That is by design. So you just want to make sure that you seat it in there. It's in there. Make sure it's in all the way. And then this cable, the other one's going to go on the top right. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use the existing screws to protect this from shorting out. Now I just put it right here in the bottom. I'm just going to screw it fast right here. Okay. It doesn't need to be up any further. Okay. We're just going to let it dangle, and it's not going to go really tight, so don't freak out if it's not going tight. Your Arcade 1-Up doesn't go all the way tight. There we go. Now we're going to punch in the ground wire. You got to make sure your ground wire's in. You can pretty much put it anywhere there's a hole. You just got to make sure it's grounded. We don't want any kind of issues with the grounding, with it not working. We're going to push that in and screw it fast. So I'll give you a close-up so you guys can see what it looks like. Okay, so here, as you can see, here's your ground wire, and there's your LVDS, and then the power for the monitor, and then your HDMI is going to go here, and then your power is going to go here. So let's go on with the next step and get the control panel put in so we can start plugging things in. Alright, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to connect these and show you based on getting everything connected, because I think I sort of remember how everything goes. The marquee is going to go into the smallest one out of the 3 here, and then there's a really long one. That one is going to go up to the top here for the power on the monitor board, and then you're going to be left with this other one that is going to connect to the power, your power brick that's connected to your door panel. I call it a door panel, but you guys know what I'm talking about. Then you're going to take your HDMI, let's get it untangled here, from your Android box, and you're going to go up to the LVDS board, connect that in there, make sure that's in there. And then down below here, you have your pedals. We're going to run that. That's going to go out one of the holes. I think I'm just going to run it out the top hole that's on that door panel. And then what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to hook up the audio. The audio is going to have to go to the top bar so I can use the existing speakers in it. Okay, so there are 2 areas on this we're going to have to hook up, and we'll take you up to that here in a second, so we can get this situated. This is going to have to go up through the H panel, so I'm going to get you that and take off the H panel so we can take a look at it. Alright, so what we're going to do to get access to this H panel, we're just going to loosen up. I'm just going to loosen up the 2 screws on each side. Here is just so I can separate it even into the marquee. And what we're going to do is we're going to try to make this as easy as possible. Just going to separate it. I'm hoping, yeah, there we go. I was going to say, I'm hoping I don't have to pull it all out. But, okay, so the H panel comes out. And what we're going to do is we're going to take this custom H panel and we are going to slide it up inside to get it to function the way it should. Okay, if you have to loosen up both sides, you might have to do that, but I'm able to do it just by loosening the one side. So you should be able to do that as well. Just put it in and make sure it's in the marquee slot. There you go. Once it's in there, all you're going to do is you're going to tighten those bolts or the screws back up on the side here. Okay. Very easy. Okay, now after that's all done, what we're going to do is we're going to route this cable. This is the cable for, that's the cable for the Android box. And then we have a few other cables that we're going to route into here, which is the speakers. We're going to route that up. The speaker one's going to come up and out. And then we also have the power. We have to route, we have an AC adapter. We're going to route the AC adapter. Again, we're going to go through the door hole. There's a hole in the door. We're going to route that through here. Going to go through the door. And what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of go up and out here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to plug in the cable's going to go in the bottom one. Make sure you put it in the bottom. And then power. And then this top one says speakers. That's what you want to make sure you plug it in. It goes into speakers, just like that. Okay? Make sure you hold on to it so you're not breaking anything, breaking any of the soldering or anything like that. Then you're going to feed this down in the right way. And then there are 4 screws to screw this in. I'm going to screw it fast, and then I'll let you take a look at it after I get it screwed in. All right, let me turn on my light inside here so you guys can see. So I have this screwed in. Remember I said I want them on 12 noon. It's got a nice panel there. All right, inside here we want to make sure everything is seated, it's connected. You can see here's the door holes that I was telling you about that we're running the power for. This is for the amplifier, and then this is the pedal cable that is going to run out there. I wasn't sure if I was going to stick it down. I actually might run it out these vent grates so it's lower to the ground. In fact, why don't I do that here with you guys watching? So, because this is a sit-down cabinet, so I have to make sure this works. I have enough cabling to go through here. So I need 2 hands. I'm going to stop it after just so I can get it to run, and then I'll come back. All right, one thing I forgot to do, I ran a cable through here, the Ethernet cable. They just arrived, so hopefully this is going to be long enough to get to that router. If not, I will make adjustments. So what I'm doing right now is one-handedly put it into the Android box. You heard it click. Now we're going to close it back up. I should have enough cable coming off of this that we can connect it to the router. So we'll see here in a little bit. All right, you guys can see I've got my sit-down cabinet back. It's plugged in for the lights. They stay on all the time. But you can see here's the Buy Stuff Store pedals. They are in the location where they need to be. There's a little notch so it can fit under there, so you can sit on it to do that. And then they also give you this little cheat card. I don't know if you can see it. A and B and the pedals to calibrate the pedals. So I guess I have to figure out with the cheat sheets, you know, which A and B is here, or the trigger or whatnot. So, all right, so I have a smart switch for all my arcades. So I'm going to say, hey, Google, turn on the game room. So this is first boot. Let's see what happens here. We see the marquee went on. That's a good sign. Let's see if anything else goes on. Getting some Japanese. There it is, Emulek. And let's make sure everything works here. And it goes on and boots up, no problems. And we'll do a future video. Yep, there's his HDMI. Buy Stuff Store. That's a good sign, everything's working. So as long as I get some audio and everything like that, I should be in good shape. There's Star Wars. Oh, we got audio. I got it on both sides. There it is. So I think if we, okay, that's launch screensaver. So if we back out, is there a way to back out? Yep, there we go, the trigger. I'm gonna turn this down. So if you tilt your steering wheel forward, it goes to your games. And if we want to play it now, okay. I think we hit, let's try. Oh, okay, there we go. There's all Star Wars. You hit the right trigger. So that's something I'm just gonna have to get used to. Okay, okay. Let's hit back. And we'll pull the trigger. Okay, so the right trigger is what gets you into the game. And then this is your coin start button. You just slide, because now your audio controls are on the top. So let's see here. All right, we got to add coins. Okay, coins go the opposite way. And then pull the trigger to start. There we go. Press trigger to start.
The security deflector shield will be deactivated when we have confirmation of your code transmission.
Okay.
I will deal with them myself.
So let's see if this works.
I see them. Wait for me.
Yep, this works. It moves you around, forward. I crashed. We'll show a review of all this in the future. But again, I just wanted to show you, you know, what it looks like and how this works. So I think I gotta hold this, one of these, and I can get back.
All right, guys, there you have it. I hope you followed this video. I hope this is something that's helpful to you, that you were able to get your Star Wars cabinet modded. If you run into any kind of trouble, and if I could be of assistance, leave a comment below, or if you just like the tutorial, leave a comment below. I always like that. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, follow me on my social channels. I'd really appreciate it, because guys, this is something that I enjoy doing, and I want to keep the content flowing and keep you guys educated on some of the things that I find interesting. So guys, I really appreciate it. Until next time, keep it buzzing.